Claire, what nonsense are you spouting? Evan Scott, my boyfriend, reached for me while keeping his grip tight on Walsh's hand. I raised my hand and slapped him across the face. He clutched his cheek, staring at me in disbelief. Anne lifted her skirt and hurried over, shielding Evan protectively as she whimpered delicately, Claire, please calm down and don't hurt Evan. I don't want this wedding anymore. I'll give the gown back to you. I can just die alone. With that, she made a show of trying to take off the wedding dress she was wearing, but Evan quickly stopped her. Anne, this dress was always meant for you. This wedding should have been yours from the start. He carefully straightened every seam and bow of her gown, leaving nothing untouched. The pristine white dress made her look so fragile and delicate, even more dazzling and brittle than the chandeliers above. This was the gown Evan had picked out for me, yet it fit her perfectly. Suddenly, I realized why the dress felt off when I tried it on, why I wanted alterations. Evan had insisted it couldn't be adjusted because it was custom-made. Now, I understood. It was always meant for Anne. I laughed bitterly, a sound that caught Evan's attention. Claire Wood, are you satisfied now? Do you really have to push her to the brink? Think about the child in your stomach. If you don't want them to be born as an illegitimate child, you'd better behave and stop making a scene. The wedding march began to play. Flower girls scattered rose petals down the aisle as Evan, arm in arm with Anne, walked into the venue under the admiring gaze of the crowd. As the piano played its joyful melody, a symbol of happiness, I called the hospital to book an abortion. The guests whispered, as if I were the intruder, while the radiant couple on stage basked in their moment of glory. When their vows of love echoed through the hall, I couldn't bear the probing stares any longer and fled in humiliation. Before I left, I glanced at my family sitting in the front row. They didn't look surprised at all that the bride had changed. My brother even went on stage to offer his congratulations. This wedding is truly spectacular. My brother-in-law really outdid himself. Anyone who didn't know better might have thought the woman on stage was actually his sister. After stepping off the stage and noticing my absence, my brother quickly sent me a message, "Hey, sis, hurry back. Don't embarrass your husband. What's the big deal? The marriage certificate still has your name on it, doesn't it? Just apologize properly. Evan promised to buy me a new car next month. I've already signed the contract. If he gets mad, are you going to pay the balance for me?" My chest tightened instantly. With trembling hands, I texted back, "Haven't I been giving you an allowance every month? Why would you ask Evan for something so expensive?" The typing indicator lingered on his side for what felt like forever, but no reply ever came. Instead, my parents called. The moment I picked up, they began shouting, "I can't believe I gave birth to such a useless daughter. You can't even buy your brother a car, and now you're causing trouble on such an important day? Finally, you marry a generous husband, and instead of being grateful, you humiliate us in front of everyone." Amid their relentless scolding, I finally pieced together the truth. No wonder my mother-in-law always hinted that I was greedy and treated me so coldly. It turned out my parents and brother had been using my name to ask Evan for money countless times. All the strength drained from my body, and I sank onto the stone steps at the center of the hall. My phone slipped from my hand, the call long disconnected. It took me a long time to gather myself enough to stand. As I descended the stairs, my ankle twisted painfully, sending a sharp jolt through me. I glanced down at my shoes. My heels had already rubbed my skin raw, leaving a bloodied line at the back. So, it wasn't just the wedding dress that didn't fit. The heels didn't either. I used to think he was just too busy to bother with trivial details and too preoccupied to understand these women's matters. I raised my head and looked again at the white roses and violets arranged in the garden. They were Anne's favorite flowers. It all made sense now. None of this was ever meant for me. Even earlier, walking along the garden path to the wedding venue, my feet had already been rubbed raw. Now, with a twisted ankle and stepping over gravel, every step felt like torture. Servants passed me without a glance, their heads lowered as they carried trays of food into the banquet hall. No one offered me a hand. Why would they? Just as I turned to leave, Evan had ordered them not to interfere. I kicked off the heels and tossed them aside. If they weren't mine, I didn't want them. Barefoot, I stepped onto the sharp gravel, each agonizing step leaving fresh bruises until I finally reached the entrance. I pulled out my phone to book a ride to the hospital, but when it came time to pay, my bank account balance flashed, showing insufficient funds. The sky had grown dark and heavy with swirling clouds that threatened a downpour at any moment. How could my balance be zero? I checked again and again, logging out and refreshing the app, but the result didn't change. It was still zero. A cab I managed to hail slowed briefly before the driver sneered at me. No money? Then don't waste my time. The car sped off, leaving me standing there humiliated. I thought long and hard, and only one explanation came to mind: my parasitic family. At a time when I needed support the most, they had already hidden their knives, ready to strike when I was at my weakest. I sat on the curb, hugging my knees, until the chime of my phone pulled me from my thoughts. Evan's voice came through with a tone of condescension, as if he were coaxing a stray cat or dog. The ceremony is over. You can come back and take a group photo with us. Otherwise, there won't be anything to look at on our anniversary. No need. I wiped the water from my face and only then noticed it had been raining for an hour, leaving me drenched to the bone. Claire, I'm giving you a way out, but you're refusing it. What's gotten into you? Evan's tone grew colder. You don't have a penny to your name right now, and if you keep acting ungrateful, I won't hesitate to let you find out what it's like to live on the streets. How do you know I don't have any money? I asked, stunned. He let out a scoff, his voice dripping with disdain. From your greedy parents and brother. Do you think I wouldn't notice? They treat me like an ATM, showing up every other day to ask for money. It's exhausting. So, I gave them your bank card password. I froze, the weight of his words crushing me. But don't worry, I can support you, no problem, but I'm under no obligation to take care of your family. So that was it. Years of hard work, the savings I'd carefully built up, they had drained it all, leaving me nothing. You come with so much baggage, he sneered. Your entire freeloading family, all their endless troubles. And never drags me into these kinds of messes. His words cut deeper than the cold rain. And was ever so sweet, so considerate, and so perfect in his eyes. He actually believed she had never bothered him. My mind flashed back to when I just got pregnant. My parents had come demanding money again. Knowing I'd need the savings during maternity leave, I refused for the first time. That was all it took for my brother to explode in anger, accusing me of growing a backbone after marriage. In the scuffle, he shoved me down the stairs. I had nearly lost the baby. My arm was dislocated from the fall as I desperately protected my stomach. When I called Evan, he was busy comforting Anne, who had run away from home after an argument with her father. The moment Evan realized it was another issue with my family, he grew impatient and tossed the phone aside, barely listening to what I had to say. Instead, he focused on soothing Anne, promising that if her parents favored her brother again, he wouldn't hesitate to make them suffer some business losses. I clutched my dislocated arm, redialing his number over and over. When he finally picked up, all I got was a curt response: handle it yourself. To make matters worse, he had already taken it upon himself to share my bank card password with my family, claiming it was the last time he'd clean up my mess. The call was still connected when Anne's playful voice rang out in the background: Evan, if Claire doesn't come back, it'll just be the two of us standing in the center. Won't she get jealous? Evan's reply was laced with indifference, clearly meant for me to hear. Don't worry about her. She brought this on herself. Even if she doesn't show up for the photo, she still owes you an apology. I stayed silent, hanging up without a word. Then, swallowing my pride, I borrowed money from a friend and headed to the hospital to register at the obstetrics and gynecology department. Twisting my ankle and getting drenched in the rain left me with a fever. The doctor advised postponing the surgery for a couple of days. With nowhere to go, I decided to stay at the hospital. That night, Evan called, his tone sharp with anger as he demanded to know where I was. From the background, and chimed in, seizing the moment to stir up trouble. Evan, Claire still isn't back, and it's already so late. Do you think she's staying at a coworker's place? I've heard her office has plenty of male colleagues. Aren't you worried something might happen? Evan scoffed, the sound low and dismissive. You don't know how much she loves me. She's like a dog, no matter how hard you try, she won't leave. Why would she cheat? His words pierced me like a knife. I remembered the time he tried to break up with me. I had begged him to stay, foolishly believing my sincerity had won him over. I never realized that, in his eyes, I was nothing more than a pathetic stray clinging to him. Evan vividly recounted that breakup, even mocking my desperate pleas back then, drawing laughter from Anne. Oh, Evan, wasn't that around the time I came back to the country? Was the breakup because of me? Evan hesitated for a moment before quickly brushing it off and telling me not to overthink it. Back then, I was just being impulsive. I only love you now. Otherwise, why would I have married you? I shook my head with a bitter smile and hung up. The nurse changing my dressing overheard most of the conversation. When she looked at me, there was a flicker of pity in her eyes. Her tone softened as she spoke. When's the soonest I can have the procedure done? I asked. The injury to your foot isn't serious. You can do it as early as tomorrow. On the day of the surgery, I followed the nurse down the hallway. Right next door was the obstetrics department, where a new mother cradling her baby was wheeled out of the operating room. A crowd of family and friends eagerly gathered around, fussing over the mother and child. A pang of bittersweet longing welled up in my chest as I instinctively touched my abdomen. The nurse, thinking I was nervous, suggested, "Why don't you play on your phone for a bit? It might help you relax." I stared blankly at my phone, my fingers unconsciously scrolling through my social media feed. That was when I came across it, a carefully curated photo collage Anne had posted, complete with a geotag. Her caption read, "Spending my final days with the one I love most." In one of the photos, their hands were tightly clasped together. I had already resolved to let go of this relationship on the day of the wedding, but tears still fell onto my phone screen. Evan had always been busy with work, constantly traveling for business, and the wedding date had been postponed over and over. I dreamed countless times about this wedding and the honeymoon trip that would follow and waited thousands of days for it to come. And this was the pitiful end to it all. I wiped my tears and reached to clean the droplets off my phone screen, accidentally tapping like on the post. Almost instantly, a message popped up, "Claire, the honeymoon was supposed to be with you. But you had to throw a tantrum." What was I supposed to do? Leave the hotel bookings unused? Evan, clearly furious, called me immediately. Just as the phone rang, the nurse called my number. Hearing the background noise, he quickly realized where I was. "Claire, are you sick? Is it serious? Should I come back?" Anne's voice chimed in from the background, urging him. She must have seen my post and is faking illness to ruin our trip. Evan, don't let her fool you. Her condition can't possibly be worse than mine. Evan hesitated for a moment before agreeing with her. You were strong enough to slap me on the wedding day. How could you suddenly be sick enough to end up in the hospital? His voice turned cold with anger. Claire, stop with these petty tricks. Don't think for a second you can fool me. As soon as the words left his mouth, I hung up and blocked his number immediately. Silence. That was all I wanted, for my child's final journey to be untainted. Lying on the cold operating table, I stared up at the stark white lights, their harsh glow making my eyes burn. Anne's social media updates continued relentlessly. Each vibrant photo was a loud declaration of joy. As the child was taken from me, and posted a photo of a diamond Evan had bid for at the highest price during an auction. In the next photo, they were passionately kissing amidst a crowd's applause, the comments below filled with heartfelt congratulations. It all painted a picture-perfect romantic scene. I lay on the hospital bed, feeling like both my body and heart had been hollowed out, bleeding endlessly. During my recovery, Evan tried to call me countless times, but I had blocked him on every platform. Eventually, he turned to my family. They barged into my hospital room, not to ask why I was there, but to pressure me instead. Claire, you're a married woman who is about to have a child. What's the point of leaving him now? I shot back without hesitation. I'll be fine without him. The real question is, can you let go of his money? How dare you talk like that? My father barked, hands on his hips. My son-in-law can spend his money however he wants. Supporting me is his obligation. Is that so? Then why did you also take every last penny of mine? Why did you leave me stranded in the rain without enough to call a cab? Am I even your daughter? My voice trembled with rage, and I yelled at them, my hands shaking. He faltered for a moment, guilt flashing across his face. However, my brother shamelessly chimed in, you should be giving money to Mom and Dad. They worked so hard to raise you. Don't tell me you think you've repaid that debt. My mother, ever dramatic, plopped onto the floor and began wailing. Oh, look at what a wonderful daughter I raised. Married off and now she doesn't care about her parents anymore. By then, patients from neighboring rooms had gathered to watch the spectacle. A nurse stepped in with a stern expression and firmly warned, this is a hospital. Keep the noise down. They were finally dragged out of the room, but not before leaving me with a venomous warning, if I divorced Evan, they wouldn't return a single cent of the wedding expenses, leaving me to figure out how to pay off the debt myself. Moments later, a message lit up my phone. It was from Evan, sent using Anne's account. You see it now, don't you? Your family doesn't love you. No one in this world will ever love you except me. Because of my difficult upbringing, I had always been deeply insecure, too afraid to let anyone know the truth. Only after meeting Evan had I dared to open up about my family. Back then, his eyes were full of pity, and he whispered countless promises in my ear, assuring me he would love me enough to make up for everything I lacked. But over time, that promise twisted into something darker, the idea that only he could ever love me. There was a time when those words would have terrified me, leaving me awake all night, haunted by dreams of abandonment. But now, I silently told myself, it's okay, Claire. I love you. The first step in loving myself was cutting off everyone who tried to manipulate me. I blocked every contact I had with my family and Evan. Then I washed the tear stains from my face with warm water and closed my eyes for the first peaceful sleep I'd had in years. On the day I was discharged, I went home to pack my belongings. To my surprise, Evan returned with Anne. I had assumed he'd spend the entirety of our honeymoon with her, but there he was, back the very next day. He glared at the box in my hands, his expression dark. Claire, I heard you were sick. I transferred through multiple flights overnight to rush back. Isn't that proof enough of how much I love you? What more do you want? I didn't look at him, calmly continuing to pack my things. My voice was steady as I said, I want